What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Funnel Vision Show. I'm your host, Mikkel Dia, and today I've got a very, very special guest. I'm very excited to speak to Shaun Clark, the CEO, co-founder of GoHighLevel. He is somebody that I've been speaking with for years now at this stage, and everything that he's done in terms of scaling the software HighLevel and helping countless agencies all over the world really kind of grow their revenue, include and create this software as a service model within their business. It's so inspiring. Shaun, I'm super excited to chat with you. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're currently in India, right? You're traveling, doing a team retreat.
Yes, yeah, we've got a great team here, and we like to get out and meet all of them once a year. So that's what we're doing. Myself and my other two co-founders. So we'll be here for another week or so.
Nice. Shaun, I think literally everyone in my audience probably knows who you are, but for those who do not, and there are, a couple 100,000 people. So for those who do not, I want to hear your humble brag. In other words, tell me what you've been able to do for clients. Tell me what you've been able to do for your own business. In other words, like, why should people listen to this episode?
Sure. I'm a co-founder of HighLevel. We're a CRM and marketing automation platform, and I think we serve a little over 1 million SMBs today. I think we're the third largest in the world, last I checked. And we've been able to kind of do that over the last 5 years, thanks to an amazing network of partners who've helped kind of make our software more than a tool, but really a solution to help a lot of small businesses.
It's impressive. It's impressive what you've been able to achieve in the space of 5 years. You've completely disrupted how people think of software from an agency standpoint, how they make money using software. Let's take a step back. How did it kind of begin? Let's talk about the journey a little bit. Let's humble you a little bit, because I'm sure it wasn't like that before.
Yeah, so I mean, I had a prior SaaS company in the accounts receivable automation space, which just means I basically sent text and emails to people to pay the bills of small businesses automatically, and I grew that to about 1,000 small businesses, and that was acquired by a Canadian payments company. But kind of through that experience, I got to meet a lot of SMBs and learn that while they loved their invoices getting paid faster, they also liked getting more customers more than anything. And so initially I thought, myself and my original co-founder, we could put together an app that would kind of solve for that. And, initially it was really just two-way text messaging and reputation management. And, it was a great piece of software in the fact that it worked and people initially really loved it. But we started getting a lot of cancellations. And when we would ask about why, we sort of were concerned maybe that the features weren't there, or, whatever we promised it would do, it wouldn't do. And unfortunately, or fortunately now, we actually found that no, it was exactly what we had promised. It's just simply that by adding another thing into the small business's life, they were unable to learn how to do that, plus all the other things they were doing. And so they sort of discarded us because they just ran out of time. And so this is where we were lucky enough to get a sort of random cold call from a marketing agency who happened to have a co-customer of ours at the time. And he really opened our eyes to the fact that if you want to help the small business, you really need to help the people helping the small business. And this really, changed our world in so many remarkable ways and has helped us get to where we are. So we really have then, we sort of stopped selling to SMBs completely and focused on people who help SMBs. And originally these were marketing agencies, but we've subsequently found a whole bunch of baskets of people who do this. And we found by really working with those people, you find that those were always the people creating these same impacts for these small businesses. And the small businesses were just kind of sort of saying, sort of taking credit for it. And so if you really want to help those small businesses, you help the people who are behind the scenes.
Okay, so walk me through that journey of like now, you came to this tipping point. You started realizing that we have to help the agencies, the service providers, the people who ultimately are helping the SMBs. So what happened? Where was let's build this particular solution. How did that come about?
Yeah. So, I mean, the great thing for us is our customers already knew what they wanted. So, we never took the position that we knew what the product should be. So from the very beginning, we sort of put out, originally it was very much like one-to-one, but eventually we got onto this idea that, put out an ideas list that our customers can use to put out what they want us to build. And really the way we rank it is based on votes. So it's just a meritocracy. And so we literally have always just gone along this vision of what our customers wanted. And we just built to that vision. And what we found was over time, they were able to show us a lot of amazing things. Like, they wanted us to build a lot of the same feature sets that other products had, but they wanted us to build it in a way that had different features that were a little more advanced, or maybe approached the problem differently, that really resembled their workflow. And then we found, like, for example, a lot of existing products in the market, they would sort of take advantage of these agencies, because the agency would sort of have to bring one in to help the client with the services they were providing. But invariably, the software provider would then eventually end up sort of taking that business over, because once the software is in place, they would have this relationship with the customer directly, and they would cut the agency out. And so, things like that inspired us to do, for example, white label, which we do today, where our agencies can white label the app on their own. And it was really just this journey of truly listening to the customer and understanding why was it that the existing products in the market weren't serving them the way they should, and realizing that these folks, initially we had no idea how big they were, but really over time realizing they were, I think, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, lead generators and customer generators for many of the existing software providers. So by solving many of their problems, we were able to get to a huge number of SMBs.
So, when you first started HighLevel, I remember, it just came out of nowhere. There was a couple other platforms. There was ClickFunnels that was there. There was, Keep. There were a couple of these CRM platforms. Of course, there's HubSpot, but HubSpot, a little maybe higher level, didn't really serve the SMB space. All of a sudden, I guess it would have been around 2022-ish, or maybe around 2022, 2021, like HighLevel just started taking off. Like everybody was talking about a HighLevel. Everybody was switching to HighLevel. Things just started rolling. And do you remember that internally? Like, what was that tipping point internally where you guys are like, whoa, something's happening that we didn't really expect?
Not really, because the way we saw it is that it felt like this sort of rocket ship the whole time. And maybe, I think it's about, like, when you go from 1 to 2, that you double, right? And then from 2 to, then it becomes 2 to 4 and 4. So from our perspective, it was just going crazy the whole time. But, I think why that started to happen is, I think we started to fulfill on the vision, which is, how do we help these agencies solve their problems in a better way? And as the tool got bigger and matured, and we added those feature sets that they were looking for, I think that's really where the distribution started to get going. Because before, we were a very nascent application, like all applications start, and you can't be as big as we are today on day one. I mean, we've probably outdeveloped most people in our 5-year existence from a features perspective, and it really takes that long to get that level of feature set. So from my perspective, we I think there was a tipping point where I think the amount of functionality in the app started to reach a point where it didn't feel like a plus one. It felt like something where people could start to replace a lot of their existing apps in a truly unified place. And I think once we hit that tipping point, that's really what drove a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that's where people started to realize, okay, let's switch over. Even us, like, switching from HubSpot even, and I see a lot of people actually moving from bigger platforms like HubSpot. I'm curious. I want to ask you about vision now and where you guys want to be, but not quite yet. We'll get there. Okay, so you focused mostly then on product. What about the marketing side? Did you guys do a lot of marketing? Was it all literally affiliates and the community just talking?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you look at most software companies, they sort of take this all or nothing approach. And we were always, we were very cognizant early on of our strengths and our weaknesses. And our weaknesses was definitely marketing and sales. And so we just sort of tried to figure out how do we opt out of that. And I think we also found that there were these amazing folks that were just so good at it, that even if we had all the money in the world, I still think this is very true today. I think there are very few organizations that can do both well. And I think with all the money in the world, you just can't hire the level of creativity that exists in the world. So if you find, this is where I think systems matter and structure matters. And, by creating this sort of affiliate structure, I think what we were really doing is saying, listen, if you have this skill set out in the world and you point it in our direction, and you help us win, we promise to help you win, and do so in a very meaningful way over a very meaningful amount of time, which happens to be eternity. And I think when people saw that, they felt like that was a very fair deal for them. And again, because we never sort of stepped up to the plate and said, oh yeah, by the way, we're also going to be marketers too and competing alongside you and this and that, we sort of stay in our lane, and we love what we do and like doing it, and we love watching other people do what they are passionate about and good at. And I think it's a wonderful pairing.
Yeah, it's crazy because you're right, and most people don't think about affiliates that way. But really, what you're doing is you're tapping into an army of marketers who are marketers. That's what they do. You're just giving them an incredible product for them to market, and rewarding them handsomely along the way, which is, most people don't think about that. And I think that makes sense in terms of why your growth was so gigantic in those early days. So what is that vision? You guys have already built an incredible product. You're going to continue to add more features, add more stuff to this product. But is it just, let's keep building product and let's keep doing that and let's just keep making this platform even better all the time? Or is there something else that you've got in your head?
Yeah. So, I think as we've moved along, while we started, I think, serving a particular niche, I think what we realized is we were also able to create a category and a business model. And we call these people SaaSpreneurs. And we were able to help a lot of people move from selling these sort of bespoke services where they were just killing themselves to really creating these really beautiful recurring technology-based software businesses. And I think the mission now is to continue that model. Now, as far as how that works for us, it's definitely founded in product. I think reasonably speaking, we are now at the size where we will start to take on all comers. We're starting to, as you mentioned, we're starting to actually attack larger platforms like a HubSpot. And I think as HubSpot moves inevitably up market and continues to leave all their SMBs in the lurch, we will be there through our agencies to pick them up. And I think a lot of the agencies who started, ironically enough, with them, as they've sort of become abandoned because the HubSpot's now added all kinds of customer service and who knows what features that agencies don't understand, or want to be part of. We're going to be there to stand strong and on the marketing and CRM side. I think we will move towards those bigger folks. We don't have an overt interest in enterprise business, so I don't think that's something we're going to pursue. Although we do have enterprises through our agencies today, but really my focus is how do we get to every SMB around the world. A big part of our expansion now is international. So not only language translation, but also moving on to things like translating a lot of our marketing materials or help docs, those sorts of things, so that we can help our agency partners in those different countries actually go out to market with more than just a translated app and having to do all the legwork themselves. We can do all the same things for them that we did in the US. So we're starting that way. But I truly believe we're democratizing access to technology from a true ownership perspective. And I think that is what is the most exciting thing. So I could show someone today how to start a business that is profitable, that is scalable, that is saleable, all around this idea of recurring software technology. And I also think on the other end of it, as they serve SMBs in the market, I actually think they do a better job of it. I think if you look at the relationship most SMBs have with their software vendors, it's pretty terrible. They get a hard sales pitch one way or another, they buy a product, and then they sort of get abandoned. And even the best support teams are supporting a tool, right? So they're saying like, yeah, here's how you use a hammer, here's how you use a saw. But most businesses are trying to create a solution, a real outcome. And so while a tool is a part of that, you need all those other things, the strategy, the experience, the implementation. And this is where I think the partners that we work with really fill that gap. So honestly, I think it's just about continuing to take this model and push it out as far as we can worldwide, as well as, we still have a lot of growth to go in our more core markets as well.
Yeah, what's fascinating to me is the amount of case studies and success stories that you guys have had of people selling their company built on your company, which is kind of unheard of. Like most solutions and software are a piece of the puzzle for businesses. For your for a lot of your customers, it is their business. Like it is literally built on your platform, and they've been able to exit that business at a typical kind of SaaS valuation as well, because it has the recurring revenue and it has the stickiness. And they didn't even have to build a product, which is pretty incredible.
And honestly, a couple of things there. So one thing that people don't, often I think people in the technology space and the software space seem to really think hard around technology. But the reality is investors in the software space are like investors in any space. They actually start with financials more than anything. So they're looking for more the business dynamics more than they are, a particular type of technology implementation. And then the next piece of that I think is often misunderstood is that somehow by building on top of somebody else that you have no value, which is just ridiculous. I like to explain to people that we're built on things like Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services and Stripe. But even people who try to pierce that example, I love to point to people like Veeva Systems that are a publicly traded life sciences company in the software space, built entirely on Salesforce. And what we really find is that our customers are not taking our product and simply slapping their name on it and reselling it. What our customers are fundamentally doing is going out and adding things to it that they don't come with the product by default. They aren't part of the standard thing that you can buy off our website. And as a result, are truly unique and make it their own. And the people who end up exiting are literally creating a package on top of our product that cannot be replicated simply by buying us. And so I think that's where there is true unique IP and unique value, and each person brings it differently. And I think some people go heavy on the support and the coaching. Some people go the opposite and add on crazy sophisticated software things to it, and everybody is in between. But either way, it is a truly unique valued product you can't get anywhere else, and that is why it gets and deserves SaaS level valuations on exit.
Interesting, man. It's very interesting. So as we wrap up, I want to understand from your perspective, what is the best growth tactic from everything that you've learned and all the agencies that you've worked with? What is the best growth tactic that has seen success for people who are seeing success on the agency side and in your kind of world versus the ones who really aren't? What's the difference?
So this question is always like a bifurcated question. So it really depends on where you're at in your journey, right? So the people who are at the zero mark, the answer is always the same. It's called the Chamber of Commerce. It's called BNI. It's called your physical local space. That is the absolute best place to start, because that is the place where you have the most inherent advantage out of the gate and where you can create the most intimate local connections. So that is by far and away, if you want to get from 0 to 100 clients, that is where you start. People who try otherwise, and this is back to this old adage of, I'm going to start an agency and I'm going to pick a niche and I'm going to be the best at blah, blah, blah. That sounds great. It really does. But I will tell you, I've been around long enough to know that it doesn't work out great for most people, because it's the connection you make with a person that fundamentally will drive your long-term success as with them being your customer. And when you try to go the whole niche route, it's very difficult to do that at a distance versus the local people. They almost never lose a customer. So, and in fact, when I was talking to agencies that were doing bespoke services, the local guys never lost customers. They simply ran into share of wallet issues where they would sell marketing services and then that'd be done. And they were looking for another product. They were not running into churn at all. And now that you replace those bespoke marketing services with a recurring software business, the local still rules. Now, once you get to 100 or whatever that number is, I know people who have 500. There are some very big markets out there. The next step up is you keep your local customers, but now you're looking for a one-to-many model. So you're finding people out in the world who have existing audiences that are similar to the audiences that you're serving, and you're doing what we did. You're creating affiliate opportunities for them and saying, listen, you have this audience, you've worked very hard to get this audience. We thoroughly respect all of the work you've done. So we have this great product that we know can serve them. So let's come together. Let's first prove to you that this product is great, because we want you to love it as much as we do before you promote it. But when you promote it, we're going to create a world where every time you make a sale, we make a sale, you make a sale, and we're going to be paying you for that service down, often to forever. And then you can really create some great expansion opportunities. But I think if you try to jump to that level, most people fail because they don't have the runway they need, because it does take time to create those relationships. And honestly, it takes time to get good at what you do and dial it in. And you need that nice recurring base, which it just local is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's especially with the software like HighLevel, it makes a lot of sense. And everyone we've ever spoken to, all of the agencies that are in our community, it's how they've seen success. It starts there, and that's how they've grown. So, man, we love what you do at Funalytics. We love what you do.
We love what you do.
Thank
You
you.
have an awesome product.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's incredible seeing what has transpired with HighLevel. Keep crushing the competition. Keep crushing it for your customers and your clients and for the market. Where can people learn more about you?
Just I always say go to the website, although I will admit it's quite sparse. So maybe go to YouTube and look at our YouTube channel. It has a heck of a lot more stuff there. So I would definitely go to YouTube and just search HighLevel. You can't miss us.
Yeah, you guys still have not changed your website after 5+ years.
To be fair, we have A/B tested many a good idea. Unfortunately, the A/B tests all get just destroyed with the original design. We have made some small tweaks. Some A/B tests have worked, but they tend to be on the tweak side. But certainly on the revision, new design side, those always get just crushed by the existing design. So what we learned is, if it works, don't change it.
Yeah, I'll actually attest to that. We've tried many, many times to build a typical software site with like industry, blah, 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 like all that. And it does not
It
work.
looks beautiful, right? It just doesn't stop. It just tanks your conversions and you lose sales. So yeah, you end up going back.
Exactly. So we also have a single page website, no navigation. It just works so much better.
I'm glad somebody else agrees with me. That's good to know.
Yeah, exactly. So Shaun, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And we'll chat soon.
All right. Bye for now.